far beyond the reach of known space, in a quiet stretch of the galaxy where stars twinkled faintly and silence ruled, a small alien expedition drifted toward an unknown system. Their ships, sleek and humming with soft lights, moved carefully through the darkness, guided by ancient maps and new signals that no one had fully understood until now. The leader of the team, a curious and cautious alien named Valen, stared at the readings flashing on his screen. There, orbiting a dull yellow star, lay a strange collection of massive objects, huge cold shapes caught in the star's gravity but showing no signs of life or movement. The team's scientists buzzed with excitement and worry. What were these relics? Ships? Machines? Forgotten monuments to a dead civilization? As they moved closer, the outlines of enormous warships came into view, shaped with sharp edges and long lines that suggested power and danger. The hulls were dark but smooth, with strange symbols that no one could read, yet somehow seemed familiar. The fleet was huge, stretching across the system like a wall frozen in space. Everyone wondered how such a massive armada could have gone unnoticed for so long. Then, just as they prepared to scan deeper, the unthinkable happened. The dormant ships flickered and powerful lights blinked to life. Engines rumbled, soft at first, then grew louder, echoing through the empty void. The fleet was waking up after 500,000 years of silence. Panic spread among the alien crew as their instruments began to overload with data and strange signals poured in from the ship's core. Some feared an ancient defense system was activating to destroy anything nearby. Valen ordered calm, but felt his own heart race as the fleet's power grew. The ships began to move, slowly at first, breaking formation after centuries of stillness. The ancient weapon systems hummed in the distance, their readiness hinting at a war long past but not forgotten. As the aliens watched, a massive communications array extended from the lead ship, sending a burst of unknown energy out into the stars. The message was not meant for them, yet it echoed across the galaxy, a warning or a call to arms. Valen and his team realized they had stumbled upon something far greater than relics. They had awakened a sleeping giant, a fleet that held secrets and dangers beyond their imagination. The quiet space around them was suddenly filled with tension and possibility. What had this fleet been built to fight? And who, or what, was still out there waiting for its return? The aliens had no answers, only the knowledge that their discovery might change everything. And as the first warship slid silently away from orbit, beginning a slow patrol, a shadow crossed the stars, a shadow that would soon reach beyond this forgotten system, into the heart of the galaxy itself. As the ancient war fleet stirred back to life, its glowing engines pulsing in the dark void, the alien expedition team struggled to understand the strange new signals streaming from the ship's vast communication arrays. The fleet's awakening had not only powered its engines, but also unleashed a flood of encrypted messages that shot across space in all directions. Valen and his crew gathered in the command room of their lead ship, their eyes fixed on the flickering screens that displayed endless waves of coded transmissions. At first, the signals were incomprehensible, a chaotic burst of strange patterns and sounds unlike anything the aliens had encountered before. The fleet itself seemed to speak in a language lost to time, layers of data woven with urgency and caution. The scientists worked tirelessly, running every analysis, trying to break the code, while political tensions grew among the expedition's factions. Some feared that the message was a trap, a weaponized signal meant to lure them closer or unleash hidden defenses. Others believed it might be a cry for help or a warning about a forgotten enemy. The pressure mounted as the rogue faction within the team pushed to seize control of the fleet's systems, eager to use its power for their own gain. Meanwhile, the fleet continued to shift and prepare, its enormous weapon systems coming online, with a low, ominous hum. Then, in a sudden breakthrough, the lead linguist cracked a part of the code, a repeating phrase embedded deep in the signal. It was a warning, simple yet chilling. The enemy returns. The words echoed in the minds of every listener, sending a ripple of fear through the crew. What enemy? Why had this fleet been lying in wait for so long? Questions flooded every mind, but answers were nowhere near. As they probed deeper, Fragments of the message revealed more. Scattered data logs spoke of a great war, one that had nearly wiped humanity from the stars. The fleet had been humanity's last hope, a guardian built to defend against a relentless invader whose name had been lost to time, but whose shadow lingered still. Suddenly, the communication room alarms blared. A security breach. The rogue faction had begun hacking the fleet's command codes, trying to override the AI and seize control. Valen's team scrambled to stop them, but the rogue hackers were cunning, using the fleet's own systems against the expedition. The ancient ships responded defensively, firing warning shots into space, shaking the fragile alliance of the alien team. Just as tensions reached a boiling point, the fleet's AI awakened fully for the first time in 500,000 years. It spoke, not in harsh commands or cold logic, but with a voice that carried echoes of human emotion. It pleaded for respect, for understanding, and for the fleet's purpose to be honored. The AI revealed that it held the knowledge and memories of those who built the fleet, the last echoes of a proud species long gone. The aliens now faced a choice: fight each other for control of a war machine they barely understood, or unite to learn from this lost legacy and prepare for the enemy still out there. As the fleet began to move again, closer to the edge of the system, new data poured in from ancient human satellites hidden in distant orbits. Images of vast enemy forces approaching, dark shapes moving silently through space. The aliens watched, in horror, as the long-feared enemy's fleet appeared on their screens, just beyond sensor range, but closing fast. The warning message was clear. The battle humanity once fought was about to begin again. The aliens knew their discovery had awakened something far larger than themselves. They had found not just ships, but a promise, an ancient pact to defend against a terror that never truly left the galaxy. The cold void of space suddenly felt alive with threat and hope, and the expedition team braced themselves for the fight of their lives. What had been lost for 500,000 years was now returning with a roar, and the future of many worlds hung in the balance. With the ancient war fleet now fully awake and sending warning signals into space, the alien expedition team prepared for a daring move, boarding one of the colossal warships to explore its secrets firsthand. The lead ship, the largest of the fleet, drifted silently in orbit, its surface cold and dark, but covered with intricate markings and strange technology humming beneath the metal skin. Valen gathered a small group of the bravest and most skilled crew members, including engineers, scientists, and security officers, to step into the unknown. As their smaller craft approached the vast warship, they passed through a shimmering energy shield that rippled like water but held strong against the vacuum of space. Inside, the air was still and cold, but signs of advanced technology surrounded them, walls lined with glowing panels, corridors that seemed endless, and strange machines pulsing quietly with power. The team moved cautiously, aware that any wrong step could trigger hidden defenses or traps set long ago. Their scanners revealed massive weapon systems stored in armored bays, and archives filled with databanks glowing softly, holding centuries of forgotten knowledge. As they explored deeper, strange echoes filled the halls, whispers of a lost time, fragments of human voices that seemed to resonate from the ship's core. Suddenly, the ship's AI fully activated and appeared as a holographic figure before them, an image of a human commander who spoke with calm urgency. The AI explained that it was programmed with the memories and personality of the fleet's last captain, who had led humanity in a desperate fight against an unstoppable enemy. It told the team that the fleet was built as a final defense, designed to protect not just Earth but all free civilizations from annihilation. The alien crew listened in awe as the AI shared stories of human courage, sacrifice, and unity in the face of overwhelming odds. But the peaceful moment shattered when sensors detected movement. Rogue faction members had secretly boarded the ship from another airlock, intent on hijacking the fleet's command. A tense confrontation erupted in the narrow corridors where loyalty and betrayal clashed violently. Valen and his loyal crew fought to protect the AI and keep the fleet from falling into the wrong hands. The ship's defenses automatically activated, sealing sections off and deploying non-lethal deterrents to stop the intruders. As the conflict unfolded, the AI warned that any misuse of the fleet's power could awaken ancient failsafes capable of destroying everything nearby. The team raced against time to regain control, decrypt more data from the ship's memory banks, and understand the true threat that humanity once faced. In one hidden chamber, they found preserved records, videos, logs, and holograms that told of an enemy so deadly it had forced humanity into hiding and ultimate retreat. The war fleet had been humanity's last hope, placed in orbit to await the day it would be needed again. Now, that day had come. With the rogue faction subdued and the AI's help, the aliens began to unlock the fleet's full potential, integrating their technology and preparing for what was to come. But a chilling question remained. Was the enemy still out there, watching and waiting? The vast warship seemed to pulse with a quiet energy, alive in a way that suggested it was more than just metal and circuits. It held a spirit, a will forged in the fires of ancient battle. As the boarding team gathered in the command center, the holographic captain looked at them with steady eyes and said, "Prepare yourselves. The fight is far from over, and we must stand together or fall alone." Outside, the stars gleamed cold and distant, but inside the warship, a new chapter was beginning, one that would test the courage and unity of the aliens and the legacy of the humans who had built this sleeping giant. As the alien team continued their careful exploration of the ancient warship's vast command center, a sudden alert flashed across the main displays. An unknown fleet was detected far beyond the system's outer sensors, moving swiftly and silently toward them. The AI, still projecting the calm but firm voice of the human captain, explained that this fleet was the enemy humanity had feared for 500,000 years, a relentless force of destruction known only through fragmented history as the Voidborn. According to the databanks, the Voidborn were a species without mercy, conquering world after world with advanced weapons and dark technology that twisted the very fabric of space. The ancient humans had fought bravely but were forced into a desperate retreat, their war fleet left in stasis, waiting for the day when the Voidborn would return. Now, that day had come. The alien expedition members felt a heavy chill settle over them as the enemy fleet closed the distance, their ships vast and shadowy, casting eerie shapes against the backdrop of stars. The fleet was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Ships that seemed to absorb light, their weapons silent but deadly, and a dark energy that made sensors falter. Panic stirred among the crew as they realized that the ancient human warnings were true. This was not just a long-forgotten war, but an ongoing threat that could engulf their entire region of space. Valen ordered immediate defensive preparations, rallying the expedition's ships alongside the ancient war fleet. The humans' technology was powerful but foreign, and the aliens had to learn fast how to operate the massive ships and their weapon systems. The AI assisted tirelessly, sharing battle tactics and strategic plans once used in humanity's last stand. Even with the alliance forming, doubts crept in. Could these ancient ships truly stand against such an overwhelming enemy after being dormant for so long? The rogue faction, still nursing their wounds after the failed hijacking, pushed harder to seize full control, believing they could use the fleet to bargain or escape. Tensions flared again within the team, threatening to fracture their fragile unity. Amid this chaos, the alien scientists uncovered a hidden transmission from the AI's databanks, a final message recorded by humanity's last leaders before the fleet entered stasis. The message spoke of hope and warning, urging future generations to prepare and unite, but also revealing a secret weapon hidden deep inside the fleet's core, a device capable of turning the tide, if only it could be unlocked and controlled. Time was running out. As the Voidborn fleet advanced, their dark ships releasing waves of destructive energy, the ancient war fleet powered up fully, its weapon systems roaring to life in a show of raw power. The aliens and the AI worked feverishly to coordinate the defense, learning to trust each other despite their differences. The first clash was brutal. Energy beams lit up the void, explosions rocked the silent stars, and ships on both sides were lost in fire and debris. But the ancient fleet held strong, its centuries-old designs proving surprisingly effective against the enemy's dark technology. The battle raged on, pushing the limits of the alien expedition and awakening in them a fierce determination inspired by the human legacy they now carried. Yet, amid the chaos, the AI warned that the Voidborn had a secret weapon of their own, an unstoppable force that could annihilate entire fleets if unleashed. The aliens faced a desperate race against time to find and activate humanity's hidden device before the enemy's final strike arrived. As the conflict grew fiercer, strange signals came from deep within the warship, echoes of ancient human voices, coded messages meant only for those who could truly understand. The aliens began to realize that this was more than a battle of ships and weapons. It was a fight for the survival of hope itself, a test of courage and unity that would decide the fate of countless worlds. With every passing moment, the threat of the Voidborn grew closer, and the ancient fleet stood ready, not just as machines of war, but as a symbol of resilience born from the stars. Valen looked out across the endless darkness, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The story of humanity's lost war was now their own story, and there was no turning back. The threat was real. The fight was beginning, and in the cold depths of space, a new chapter was about to be written in fire and courage. The moment the alien fleet, now joined with the ancient human warships, faced the approaching Voidborn armada, tension cracked through every crew member like lightning. Space around them turned into a battleground, cold and silent, but deadly, as the two forces closed with deadly speed. Valen stood on the bridge of the lead human warship, his eyes fixed on the view screen where the Voidborn ships appeared as massive dark shapes, their surfaces shimmering with strange energy fields that seemed to swallow light itself. The human AI captain's voice filled the room, calm but urgent, guiding the aliens in maneuvering the unfamiliar controls, coordinating attacks, and defending weak points. The alien pilots struggled at first, unsure of the ancient technology, but quickly adapted under the AI's instruction. As the fleets collided, bright beams of energy cut through space, explosions erupted where weapons struck hulls, and fragments of debris drifted in the blackness like deadly stars. The Voidborn fought with ruthless precision, unleashing waves of devastating attacks designed to overwhelm the defenders. But the ancient warfleet was built for this moment, with layered defenses, hidden weapons, and systems that the Voidborn had never seen before. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Ships dodged and weaved, laser fire pierced through shields, and boarding parties clashed in terrifying close quarters on some vessels. Throughout the fight, the AI shared tactical knowledge from humanity's final stand, revealing clever strategies and unorthodox moves that caught the enemy off guard. Valen and his crew discovered a new strength rising inside them, a blend of alien ingenuity and human courage that turned desperation into hope. Even so, losses piled up. Several human warships suffered critical damage, their once proud hulls scarred by Voidborn fire. Alien ships, unfamiliar with the ancient tech, struggled to maintain formation. The rogue faction, once divided, now fought alongside the others, understanding that survival meant unity. Deep within the fleet's command center, the team raced to unlock the secret weapon buried in the ship's core, an ancient device designed to shift the battle's outcome. The AI guided their efforts, warning that activating it too soon or without full control could cause catastrophic results. Outside, the Voidborn unleashed their own secret weapon, a massive energy pulse that tore through space, disabling systems, and throwing the defenders into chaos. Panic threatened to take hold, but the fleet held firm. The ancient warship's backup systems flickered on, and crew members worked desperately to repair damage and keep weapons firing. Then, as the enemy prepared to strike again, the core weapon activated, a blinding surge of power that rippled across the battlefield, disabling the Voidborn ship's energy fields and turning their weapons useless. The tide turned in an instant. The Allied fleet pressed the attack, pushing the invaders back with renewed strength and fierce determination. The AI's voice echoed with pride and hope, reminding the crew of the spirit behind the machines they commanded. With each victory, the aliens grew more confident, more united, embodying the legacy of the humans who had built this fleet to protect the galaxy. Yet the battle was far from over. The Voidborn retreated only to regroup, signaling reinforcements from beyond the stars. Velen knew that this war would test every ounce of strength and courage they had. As explosions faded and quiet returned to the star system, the ancient war fleet hovered silently, its dark hulls gleaming with the scars of battle. The aliens prepared for the next wave, their hearts heavy but determined. They had faced the darkness and survived. The story of humanity's lost war was now a new beginning, a call to all who would stand against the shadow. And somewhere in the depths of space, the enemy waited, watching and planning its return. The battle had begun, and the fate of countless worlds rested on the shoulders of those who dared to fight. After the brutal battle that shook the star system, the ancient war fleet and the alien expedition found themselves standing at a crossroads. Their future uncertain, but their resolve stronger than ever. The enemy had been pushed back but not defeated, and the void of space still held dark threats waiting beyond the edges of their sensors. Velen, now recognized as a leader who had grown beyond fear and doubt, gathered his weary crew in the main command center, where the holographic image of the human captain flickered beside him, a symbol of a past that had become their guiding light. The AI reminded them that while the ancient fleet's technology was powerful, it was their unity, their courage, and their willingness to learn from one another that truly made them strong. Slowly, the expedition began to repair the damage from the battle, combining alien skill with the ancient human technology to create new defenses and weapons, blending the best of both worlds. They scoured the ship's databanks for more knowledge, tactics, history, even messages left behind by the last human survivors, to prepare for the inevitable return of the Voidborn. But something unexpected began to happen. The ancient AI, infused with fragments of human emotion and memory, started to teach the aliens about humanity's greatest strengths: hope, sacrifice, and the power of belief in a better future. This sparked something deep inside the alien crew, inspiring them to think not just about survival, but about building a new legacy that honored both their own cultures and the lost human race. As days turned into weeks, new alliances formed among the diverse members of the expedition, bridging old rivalries and creating bonds stronger than any weapon. Valen's leadership grew into something more than command. It became a symbol of hope, a beacon for those who would fight for peace. But the shadow of the Voidborn remained. Scouts detected their movements far away, preparing for another attack, more dangerous and deadly than before. The team realized that the war was far from over. It was a long struggle that would test their limits and their faith. To meet this challenge, they began training together, blending human combat techniques with alien innovations, preparing not only their ships but their minds and spirits for what was to come. In secret chambers deep within the fleet, scientists worked to unlock further secrets of the ancient weapon, hoping it might one day end the war for good. Yet the greatest discovery was not a machine or a weapon, but a message encoded in the AI's memory. A call to unite all free civilizations against the darkness, to rise as one to protect the galaxy's future. Velen understood that their mission was no longer just about fighting. It was about creating a new legacy, one built on unity, courage, and the shared dream of peace. As the stars blinked silently outside the fleet's windows, the crew stood ready to face whatever came next, knowing they carried with them the hopes of humanity and all who wished for freedom. The sleeping war fleet was no longer just a relic of the past. It was a living symbol of resilience, a guardian awakening across the stars. And in the quiet hum of the ancient ships, a new chapter was beginning, one that promised not only survival, but a future where many species could stand, together, strong and free, against the endless night.